Hey guys, and welcome to my guide of how to be efficient at Twin Furies, which are part of the God Wars Dungeon 2 area. I'm going to be including the ability rotation and exactly where to stand within this guide to help you get the most out of your DPS, and I'll also quickly be going over the perks and what you want in your inventory just to get you those kills as quick as possible. The main thing that you guys need to focus on is where you are standing so that your AoE abilities hit both of the twins at the same time, just to max out your DPS. So just to start off the guide, I'll be going over your perks and your inventory setup, and then we'll look at some of the kills that I do and I'll show you exactly what you want to be doing. Okay, so let's take a look at the inventory, the perks, and just what you need to have equipped when you're doing Twin Furies. Ideally, if you're going to be doing efficient kills without using any food, you need to be able to kill the Twin Furies before the bomb phase explodes. So I'm going to set the minimum requirements of what I've got on currently, which is full Torva, augmented, also with a Nox scythe as well. I think you can just about get away with using Bando's armor instead of Torva, but you would have to make sure that it is fully equipped with perks and that you berserk at the right moment, which I'll show you later on during some demo kills. But if you're looking for some really efficient kills, then I definitely suggest that you have the Torva, and I'm going to set the Nox scythe as a requirement, just to make sure that you're getting these kills every single time before the bomb explodes. In terms of the cape, you can have a max cape or any other 99 cape or a kiln cape. That's going to work absolutely fine. The amulet, if you're looking for efficient kills, then 100% you need the amulet of souls so that your soul split is working that extra bit good. The ring, as you can see, I've got the Asylum Surgeon ring on. This is going to be very good just to save you a bit of adrenaline. It's going to help you just to use a few extra thresholds occasionally during some kills, so definitely worth using that over, let's say, a Ring of Death, because you shouldn't really be dying here. I do also have a Ring of Vigor in my inventory, but I'll go over that in just a few moments. The auras, again, I'll go over in just a second. I do have a Scrimshaw of Vampirism on. Usually I don't actually use it, but you guys can use this for sort of your first few hours or your first few trips of Twin Furies, just so that you can get used to the bosses. So you can have the Scrimshaw activated when you need it, when you go on low on HP. Other than that, once you've done it for a while and you've got a little bit of practice in, you don't need a Scrimshaw at all. You can just live off of your soul split and your Amulet of Souls healing that extra bit. So if we look at my inventory, I have an enhanced Excalibur, for which is when I go very low on HP, which barely ever happens, but it does occasionally if you're not concentrating or you just look away quickly. Your HP bar may go down, or especially if the bomb explodes without you realizing as well. That's just going to help you to bring your HP bar back up without using any food. So as I mentioned, I have a Ring of Vigor. You are going to be using Berserk on each kill, so when you are using Berserk, you're going to quickly swap to your Ring of Vigor, use your Berserk, and then you go back to your other ring, but I'll demo that later on. I then have Holy Overload potions, which is just a combination potion of overloads and what are they called? Prayer renewals. So again, if you don't have the combination potions unlocked, you can just use the two separately within your inventory. That's going to be absolutely fine. I don't know what that was. I have a Holy Rank as well, just to save a few extra prayer points. It's over time just going to save you a few Super Restore sips. So I just say if you have it, use it. If you don't have it already, then don't worry too much about getting it. Super Restore, depending on which aura you're using, so I'll go over the auras now. If you're using Penance, then you're going to be having full prayer points all of the time, so again, you don't need to worry about the Super Restores. All of the other auras, though, you will. So Supreme Reverence, you're looking at, I think it's 6 Super Restores per hour, or just under. Vampirism, again, going to keep your life points up nice and high. You're going to need 12 Super Restores per hour for this one. and Supreme Invigorate if you want to save that 10 extra adrenaline when you Zerk. Again, you're going to need 12 Super Restore 4 dose pots just to last for an hour. If you really want to, just for the first few hours, you can use a Summoning Familiar as well. So, as you can see, I've got either a Blood and a Heal or a Steel Titan. Once you've done it for a few hours and you've gotten used to exactly what you're doing, you're not going to need these at all. But if you are, let's say, using Bando's armor instead of the Torva, the Steel Titan or the Blood and Heal could be useful just to make sure that you're getting those kills before the bomb phase explodes each time. So that's just a quick look at the gear for you guys. I'll quickly go over the perks. On my Scythe, I have Precise 5. Which is just going to increase your damage slightly, and then I just have Efficient 3. You could, if you're rich, have Aftershock 3, that's going to help your DPS, but I'm just trying to keep the costs down of my Scythe doing Invention, so I just have Efficient 3. So if you really want to, for the extra bit of DPS, you just have Aftershock 3, that's absolutely fine. On my Torva Plate body, I have Crackling 3, that's all you're really looking for at Twin Furies. I do have Absorbative 2 on there as well, but you don't necessarily need that because you won't be taking too much damage. And then again, on my Torva Plate legs, not too important, I have Efficient 2 with Venom Blood on it. That's actually for when I do a Raxor, but don't worry about that one. And I have Lucky 5 on it as well, which again, very similar to Absorbative perk. You don't necessarily need it for Twin Furies, but occasionally those hits are just going to be dealing 1 damage to you instead of, let's say, 500. So maybe worth getting the Lucky perk. Other than that, I would say the perks aren't too important for Twin Furies just because they're quite an easy boss to complete. So I'll now go over some demo kills for you guys, just looking at exactly where to stand and what abilities to use, and then hopefully you guys have a pretty good idea of how to kill the Twin Furies pretty efficiently. Okay, so let's get into some kills themselves then. So I've just basically finished off a kill, so I'm just adrenaline stalling. This is going to be very important. If you adrenaline stall within each kill, it's going to help you, but I'm going to quickly go over exactly what abilities to use. So the first thing you're going to do is stand where I am. You're going to be using Earthquake first, then Hurricane in this location, move to here, use your Cleave. Now you can just use your Bleed, so we use Slaughter, use Tendrils, use my third Bleed, I forgot what it's called. Then just let this thing run around the room. Then you use your Assault. Then as these guys meet back up, you go straight into your Cleave, back onto your Earthquake, back into your Hurricane. So you get out those 3. If you have time, you can actually do a second Cleave each time you get to that phase. When this guy flies up in the air, you just DPS as per usual. Get yourself up to 100% adrenaline. You're looking to Zerk at around the 46-second mark. Just so that you can maximize your DPS. So you've Zerked, now they're standing together again, so you can use your Cleave just to maximize your DPS. As soon as you get to the bomb phase, you want to stand in this spot here, so where the fire meets up, if you've got your camera facing north, that's going to be the easiest way for you to find the spot. And then you just use abilities. If you need to, you may end up having to use a couple of thresholds just to finish off the bomb phase, but if your DPS is fine, then you shouldn't necessarily need to. So I'm adrenaline stalling. Going to go back into this position to start off the next kill, and as soon as we get into it, it's just going to be the same rotation each time. So if we look at the movement a bit more, so we use 2 abilities, 2 thresholds, move to the top of Nymora, and now we move to the right. Let this thing go past, we move to the right of that just so that we don't get hit, then we move up to the top, and that works every single time. That never ever fails. Sometimes Nymora will go to the left instead of the right. Again, I'll go over a few more kills, so if she does go to the left, then it's pretty easy just to move your character the other way instead. So Nymora's gone up to fly, we're just going to bring Avarice over to where she's flying. I'm going to use Slaughter on this one, then just build myself back up to 100% adrenaline. I'm actually slightly delayed on this one just in terms of when I'm going to zerk, but that's absolutely fine as long as you're zerking between 46 to 50 seconds, that's fine. So yeah, just kill this. Oh, sorry, just use abilities to kill them. So this one, I'm not going to be using any thresholds. I'm just going to keep my adrenaline up nice and high for the start of the next kill. So there's that one. Again, adrenaline stalling. That's probably the key thing here, is just adrenaline stalling. This was a big thing that I was going over when I did my QBD challenge. Is just, or being efficient at QBD, sorry, is just making sure you adrenaline stall every single time in between kills, just to keep your adrenaline at full. So I'll go over, if you look carefully this time, at the abilities again. So we use both the thresholds, we move above Nymora, use my cleave, then I go slaughter. Okay, Nymora's moved to the right again, so I'm just going to move up and to the right. This time I'm going to go down just because I moved up on the first one. So the movements are very, very similar each time. I'll do one more kill, hopefully Nymora moves to the left, but you guys should be able to figure it out after a few practice runs of exactly where you're standing, if she does go to the left or the right. So again, just moving down, going to use Slaughter just to get some more DPS out. I'm actually going to Zerk a bit earlier this time, just because I'm already at 100% and I don't need to use any thresholds. When Nymora does drop down, if you can, you want to try and stack these two close to each other so that your cleave hits both of them, especially because you're Zerked, you're going to be doing a lot of damage, so you do want to try and stack them. And then you just use your cleave again and make sure you're standing in the spot. So I'll do one more kill. Hopefully Nymora goes into the correct position, or sorry, the left position this time. And then hopefully you guys have a pretty good idea of what you're doing. So this boss is pretty easy. I'd say it's the easiest one of pretty much all bosses in game, actually. Yeah, I mean, God Wars Dungeon 1 is pretty easy as well, but this is pretty ridiculous. So this one, I actually was slightly late with my abilities, so my cleave didn't hit. Here we go, Nymora's gone to the left, so it's just the opposite. I walk to the left at the start, then I can walk down, instead of me moving to the right at the start. So if you look carefully here, I'm going to try and move Nymora at the same time that I use cleave, and actually, it's not really a bug, but it means that your cleave will deal damage to both of them, even though Nymora is behind you. So that's something you guys can use. Anyway, I will just finish up this kill, and then I'll quickly go over exactly what was happening, just away from the boss, just so that I can explain what's happening. You guys can listen in, just so you sort of don't have to get confused at watching the boss at the same time. And there we have it. Right, so I've let you guys just see a few of my kills. Hopefully you've picked up a few things there. Obviously this guide is mainly looking at how to just be efficient. It's not necessarily looking at the tactics themselves. So if you guys aren't fully aware of all of the mechanics of the boss, then make sure you're either, one, you go to another person's guide on sort of just a basic overview of how to kill Twin Furies, or just look at the in-game mechanics. But you should be able to pick up most of the things from just this video itself. So hopefully you guys have learnt one or two things. I'd say the main thing, just to sort of get you going with Twin Furies, is just have a couple of hours of practice so that you know, or you sort of get used to what you're doing. But the main things from this guide that I'll just go over again for you guys is just standing where I was standing at the start of each kill. So make sure you adrenaline stall between the kills so that you can then start off your next kill with 2 thresholds and then the cleave. So you stand where I was, use your your Earthquake first, then your Hurricane, then you move just above 9 more and use your Cleave. That's going to help you to maximize your DPS. I see a lot of people doing similar tactics, but they'll do the 2 thresholds and then they'll move away from Avarice and just use a different basic ability. But if you do what I did and you use the Cleave in a certain location, your Cleave will actually hit both Avarice and 9 more, so it's really maximizing your DPS at the start of each kill. So hopefully you guys can pick up that little tip and use it within all of your kills. Also, another little tactic for you guys is, if you're watching me carefully, and also you can go back and watch the kills again, you'll see that as Avarice had finished running around the room and he then runs back to you and 9 more and groups up again, you can actually switch your main focus for your abilities to go onto Avarice, so that when 9 more runs away to do her flying phase, you can then still focus all of your abilities on Avarice without 9 more dragging your character away. Because basically what happens is, if you focus your abilities on 9 more, when she then flies away, your character will follow her and you'll be doing no damage. Whereas if you get your attention onto Avarice, when she flies away, your character will stay where you are, which means you can manually move your character and then manually use abilities as you're running. If you guys aren't aware of that, you can actually use abilities whilst running at the same time without interrupting your movement. You just need to keep spamming sort of the ability and then you clicking, just so that both things happen without your character stopping in motion. So that's just 2 little tips for you guys there that are actually going to speed up your kills by quite a lot, and hopefully make sure that you don't go over the bomb phase, because a lot of the time when the bomb explodes, either if you mistime it, you're going to take a lot more damage and then your kills won't be very efficient, and again it's just going to slow the kills down overall. So you want all these little tips just to make sure that each time you're killing both of them within the bomb phase. So hopefully you've picked up 1 or 2 things from this video. If you do have any more questions about the bosses themselves, or if you guys have any requests of other guides that you would like me to do, then just comment below in the chat. Remember, I do stream pretty much every single day, so make sure you guys tune in if you want to learn anything about any other bosses. I tend to do a lot of Araxor, a lot of QBD, a lot of God Wars Dungeon 2 on stream. So make sure you guys tune into my stream at some point if you want to see stuff like that. So again, if you have any questions, make sure you ask below in the comment section and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. So good luck with your Furies kills, and hopefully you get those pets as quickly as possible and you don't go to 2.5k KC like I did. Peace out.